friends, it's Gwen. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a challenge tag bookshelf test video. Not sure what category to throw this under, but let me remind you, check the description box for links and petitions and places to donate money for Black Lives Matter. So this video idea comes from Jesse the Reader. Over on his channel, he did this basic bookshelf test where he had his Instagram followers like name books that they thought were considered basic, and he went through his bookshelves and determined like if he had them on his shelf, if he did not have them on his shelf, and like how basic his bookshelves were. A lot of the titles on this list, on this test, are YA titles, and I would absolutely love to do a part 2 with adult titles, because while I still do have some YA titles on my shelf, I'm not reading a lot of YA, nor am I enjoying a lot of YA lately. So I think my reading tastes are just changing and shifting, and that's okay. So I thought I would just go ahead and use the same books that Jesse's followers like left for him, and I would do the same basic bookshelf test. But in order for me to do a part 2, an adult edition of this basic bookshelf test, you need to leave books down below that you consider basic. So let me go ahead and jump into this video. I will have Jesse's video linked down below. He obviously explains it better. It is his video, so you know, that's how those things work. So I wrote down all of the books, and there are 25 different book prompts here. So the first one is the selection series, which I find hilarious because I literally bought it last month, and now that Read-A-Rama is over, I was planning to read this for Read-A-Rama. I have no interest in reading this like anytime soon. I think eventually I will get to it, but it's like way on the back burner of my TBR. Next up on the list is A Darker Shade of Magic, and I do have A Darker Shade of Magic. I also have the other 2 books in the trilogy. I have read this one. I did enjoy it. Again, this is not a series that I'm really reaching for. This is, I believe, an adult fantasy series, but it reads very YA to me. I mean, just reading the first book, but maybe eventually I'll get back into this trilogy. The next set of books is the Six of Crows Duology, one of my all-time favorite found family books. So I do have Six of Crows and I have Crooked Kingdom. And I actually read, the first time I read Six of Crows, I only rated it 3 stars. On reread, I rated it 4 stars. And I think that's because I knew a lot of the stuff that was coming. And I also knew the pacing a lot more because it is hyped as a heist novel. And I think the heist portion of this novel doesn't happen until like pretty far into it. But yeah, I reread it so I could read this one, and I enjoyed both of these, but they're not like my favorites. Next up is a series of books that I do not have on my shelves. So The Cruel Prince by Holly Black, I don't have that. Shadowhunter books I used to have, but I unhauled them. The Matched series, never had it, not interested. Hush Hush series, that was like way before my time. Same with the Matched series. I think those were like way before my time. Throne of Glass, I have read it, but I don't have a copy on my shelves or anything like that. I unhauled it like years ago. Any John Green book, yes. I have Looking for Alaska on my shelves, and I also have Turtles All the Way Down. I used to have all of his books, like The Fault in Our Stars and Abundance of Catherines and Paper Towns and all that. The only 2 I have left is Looking for Alaska and Turtles All the Way Down. Harry Potter, yes, I almost am ashamed to say that I have Harry Potter on my shelf. Next up is Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. This is another author that has really been disappointing me lately. Yeah. Twilight. No, I do not have Twilight on my shelves. After some recent events and conversations that have taken place, I don't think I'm interested literally at all to ever pick up those books. And I was I was thinking about go ahead and purchasing the trilogy so I could read Midnight Sun, but that's not it, guys. That's not it. So next up is Sarah Dessen books. I've never read nor owned any Sarah Dessen books. Next is The Hunger Games, and I love this trilogy. I did reread this last month, and I really, really liked it. I rated it 5 stars the first time I read it. I rated it 5 stars the second time I read it, and I was in the process of continuing on in the trilogy and working on a trilogy vlog for you guys, but my reading has just been kind of all over the place, and so I have temporarily paused that project. And I do plan to read A Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, or Snakes and Songbirds, however the title goes, but I've just been hearing not so good things, and I just don't know. So, but yeah, I think I'm gonna give it a go and see what I think. Lord of the Rings, which I do not have any of those, but I do have this beautiful illustrated edition of The Hobbit, but it's not officially Lord of the Rings, so I'm not counting it. I'm just once again showing off this beautiful book. Next up is the To All the Boys I've Loved Before trilogy. Yes, I have it. I love it. I don't know if and when I'll ever reread it. I loved it. I was obsessed with it when I read it. And I have watched the first 2 Netflix movies, and I'll definitely watch the third, but I probably wouldn't enjoy it as much if I read it now than when I did. So then there's a series of books, again, I do not have copies of. Roald Dahl books, The Perks of Being a Wallflower, Divergent, Beautiful Creatures, 13 Reasons Why, The Maze Runner, To Kill a Mockingbird, Anne and the French Kiss. Of those books, Divergent I've read. I had the whole trilogy. I was obsessed with Divergent, and then the trilogy just went burr, burr, burr. And the movie wasn't really that great either. 13 Reasons Why, I did watch the first season on Netflix, but I stopped that. And then I did read Anna and the French Kiss. I really enjoyed that when I read it, but again, it's a YA title, and I just think that I read it and I enjoyed it, but if I read it now, I probably would just rate it probably 3 stars. The last book on this list, I don't really consider that basic because it is a classic, but I guess because of the movie that came out last year is the only reason I could think why it's on this list, and that book is Little Women, and I actually do have 2 copies of this book on my bookshelf, but I love this Puffin and Bloom edition, and I do have plans to eventually read this story and then hopefully see the 2019 adaptation. So that completes the basic bookshelf test that Jessie from Jessie the Reader did. Out of 25 different prompts, I had 10 of the books on my bookshelf, so that means my bookshelves are only 40% basic, which I think is pretty good. I don't know. Let me know what you think about that down in the comment section down below. But that's all for today's video. Like I said at the beginning, I would love to do a part 2. So if you have any adult books that you think are basic, please leave them down in the comment section down below. I hope you guys are having a lovely day or night, and I'll see you guys again in my next video. Bye!